Good day. Thank you for tuning in to this 2017 primary election candidate forum for the Lacey City Council Position 7. The forum is presented by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County and Thurston Community Media. The League is a nonprofit organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in their government. The League neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties. We are nonpartisan. The League registers new voters, studies issues, and advocates for its positions with government bodies. Despite its name, the League is open to both men and women of age 16 and up. I'm Mary Moore from the League, and I'll be moderating this forum. The candidates for Lacey City Council Position 7 are Ken Balsley, Madeline Goodwin, and Carolyn Cox. For this forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Then I'll ask them questions in alternating order. The person first asked the question will have 2 minutes for a response, followed by 1 minute from the other candidates. There will be 1 minute for closing statements at the end. We'll begin with opening statements from the candidates, beginning with Ken.
Well, thank you, Mary. I appreciate the opportunity to do this. The League has been doing this for a long time, educating voters on different issues around, and we really need educated and informed voters, so I really appreciate the League doing all this for us. I'm Ken Balsley. I've been a resident of Lacey for over 40 years, been active in the community for a long time. I'm currently the chair of the Lacey Parks Board. I'm former chair of the Lacey Historic Commission, and in 2015 I was the Lacey Historian of the Year. I was a member of the city's 50th birthday party anniversary, and I've been the president of the Lacey Civic Committee, and on and on and on. My credentials for Lacey and supporting Lacey are very long and very solid, and I really love the city of Lacey. And I think that's one of the reasons I've decided to run for the city council. I've been an advocate for Lacey for a long time. Many times I've supported what the city's had to do, and many times I haven't been as supportive of the city activities. So I've learned one thing as an advocate for a community is that you can do all the advocates you want, but sometime or another you're going to have to get inside and sit down at the table and help make the policy decisions, and that's what I want to do. I have a couple of issues that I really want to talk about, and one of them is I want to talk about the transit system. Lacey has come up short on the transit system. We have no transit out in Hawks Prairie or out in the Hawks Prairie area. There's several thousand people out there, particularly out of the Jubilee retirement community, that have no transit. So there are a number of issues. That's just one of my major issues that I want to talk about. I also want to talk about water quality and what we can do to improve water quality in Lacey. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today, and I want to ask you for your vote in the August primary. Thank you very much for your time.
Madeline?
Hi, my name is Madeline Goodwin, and I am running for Lacey City Council. I am running because Lacey has tremendous opportunities in front of it, and I have 9 years of relevant policy experience to bring to the table. I want to see Lacey become a model of a sustainable town and still see businesses prosper. I believe an expansion of transit is absolutely critical. I want to see more walkability and bikeability. I want to see infill and higher density housing and development. And I want to see a city where people can live, work, and play all on the same block. Well, maybe not all on the same block. I am young, and I'm looking toward the future. I'm looking to the population growth that Lacey is going to see over the next 20 years, and I want to see affordable housing for those who live here now and those who will move here as time goes on. I am young, yes, but I am qualified. I have 9 years of policy experience. I have worked on relevant boards and task forces before, and I am a policy wonk at heart. I believe that I can help guide Lacey into a prosperous, sustainable, responsible future, and I would ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn?
Hi. First, I'd like to thank the League for hosting us today. The League does incredible work, probably more than any other group I can think of, to support democracy.
Thank you.
As chair of the Lacey Planning Commission, I've had a front row seat for the last several years into the problems and the challenges that Lacey is facing. We are expecting 30,000 new residents in the next 2 decades. Where are they going to live? Where are they going to work? Where are they going to shop and eat out? How are we going to provide them services? How are they going to get around? My campaign is based on quality of life in Lacey, trying to preserve that, as well as environmental protections. I'm focusing on 3 areas. Transit, as the other 2 opponents have mentioned. Northeast Lacey has 0 transit, and if we're to ever get people out of single passenger vehicles, we're going to have to make it convenient for people. So that means adding routes instead of shredding routes. Another issue I'm working on is what we call the septic to sewer project. If you look at a big map of Thurston County and you put red dots every place there's a septic tank, it bleeds red in Lacey and East Lacey's urban growth area. We've got to contain that. So I want to work on providing assistance for people to switch over from septic to city sewers. And finally, I want to work on incentives for what we call urban infill, which is redeveloping existing properties so that we don't go out and cut down more forested areas and pave them over. We need our green spaces in Lacey, and I think that is a great way to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we'll start with our first question. Ken, you will have 2 minutes to respond.
Thank you.
Each one of you will have 1 minute to respond. The first question to you is, what can the City Council do to help support racial justice and equity issues in Lacey?
Well, that's it. Right off the bat. Give us a tough one, don't you? Racial issues are something that we really need to concentrate on. Lacey is probably the most diversified city in Thurston County. I suspect that probably half of our residents in Lacey are not white. So we have a large diverse community in Lacey. Our schools are doing a great job of working with that. The City Council has limited powers when it comes to some of those kinds of things. The things that it can do are make discrimination illegal and make sure that we have people in place to enforce those rules and regulations. And I think we've done that. In housing, in job education, a lot of those things are set down by higher authority to the City Council. So the City Council can do it by demonstrating in who they hire for the city and how they plan to help people who have disabilities. Lacey is one of the first communities in the state to have sidewalks, cut in sidewalks for disabled people. So Lacey's had a pretty good history of being able to take care of people of racial and disability and people that are having problems. And so I think that Lacey's doing a good job, but we just need to continue to do that.
Madeline, what is your response?
I am diverse in my own background. Racial diversity Ken is absolutely right. Lacey is one of the most diverse cities in Thurston County, in part because it has a history of shepherding Black people of color, into Lacey instead of Olympia. The school districts are working hard to work with that diversity, and the police force is also receiving training and working very hard to ensure diversity so that their relationships with the people are representative, or so, yeah. And we can do something by modeling it in our leadership and presenting a diverse city council.
Thank you. Carolyn?
Hi. I think it's unfortunate that we're sitting here with 3 white faces. I would really like to see more racial diversity on the council, because the city, it starts with the city and what the city does to model policy, public policy to the population. I met with our police chief a few weeks back, and because I had a constituent ask about what the police department is doing about that. And we got into hiring policies, we got into activities that the police are doing to interact with minority communities, and there are actually some very impressive things that are happening there. For instance, the chief sent officers one day into Hispanic markets and Hispanic eateries with their business cards and a handshake and a smile. I think we need to do a lot more of that. I also think we need to roll out the welcome mat at City Hall for everyone.
Thank you. Now, question number 2 will be for you, Madeline. You will have 2 minutes, and each one of you will have 1 minute to respond. The question to you is, what actions should the City Council take regarding scoping and developing a climate action plan?
Gosh, should you pick that question just for me? Climate change is kind of my pet project. I have been studying it for the past too many years in higher education. And local action at this point is absolutely critical. Lacey is on the Puget Sound, which makes it particularly vulnerable to sea level rise. Less so than cities with more shorelines, such as Olympia, but still vulnerable. We're also seeing some impressive heat waves. Don't know if anyone's looked at the weather map lately. It's going to get a little warm the next few days. And so being able to adapt to climate change is going to be essential. I believe that, first of all, we need to have buildings that are both energy efficient and sustainably built, where the minimum amount of energy is necessary to warm them or cool them. And we can do this through sustainable building techniques with smart technology and with some biomimicry. For example, termite mounds actually have some fascinating structure. And I also see Lacey already uses a lot of renewable energy, and I would like to see Lacey put pressure on Puget Sound Energy in conjunction with the other cities within PSE's jurisdiction to pressure them to switch directly to renewables rather than using natural gas as a so-called bridge fuel, because natural gas doesn't work. And if you want to know more, go to my website, goodwinforlacey.com.
Thank you. Your response, Carolyn?
Lacey already has a carbon reduction plan, but it's just that. It's a plan, and I think the council needs to do a lot more to put teeth and energy behind that plan. One of the things that to me is just a gimme, just a very easy thing the city can do, is when it comes time to replace a vehicle in the city fleet, replace it with a hybrid vehicle. How easy is that? I think we also need to find a way to incentivize transit, to encourage people to get out of single passenger vehicles, ride the bus, ride their bikes, walk. There are join a carpool or a van pool. We really are facing quite a problem with traffic congestion. In fact, I had somebody from inner city transit tell me, we don't like to take our buses in Lacey because there's too much traffic. It's like, well, what does that tell you? So we're going to have to do a better job with traffic congestion and alternate forms of transportation.
Thank you. Ken?
Well, Lacey's a green power community, and it's one of the few in the county that is a green power community, which means that they get they get a portion of their energy generation from green power activities. We also have electric recharging stations at City Hall for people that drive electric vehicles to recharge. The city is doing a good job on that. Madeline's right, though. There's no doubt that our climate is changing, and whether or not we have any impact on it or whether or not we can do anything about it, it just makes sense that we try to do as little harm to the environment as we possibly can. Transit, get people into transit, build more bike lanes. Lacey has a lot of major roads that have no bike lanes on it, so we need to take a look at those kind of things. But overall, I think that Lacey is doing a good job in answering the problem with climate change. And I'm going to continue to support those efforts.
Thank you. Carolyn, it's now your turn for the 2-minute question response, and the two of you will have 1 minute. So my question to you is, how would you work to resolve homelessness issues in Lacey?
Lacey has what I call a hidden homeless problem. Unlike downtown Olympia, you don't typically see homeless people on the sidewalks of Lacey. That doesn't mean the problem isn't there. In fact, recently we heard reports of as many as 800 homeless students in the North Thurston School District alone. Now, they may not all live within the city limits, but these people need our city services. I was very heartened at the recent council decisions on the distribution of community block grant development funds. Those funds are the way that the city can really address social service needs. I would advocate in the future that we devote at least 70% of that funding to providing services for homeless people. It's not just about affordable housing, building apartments or houses that will house people with low incomes. It's about giving them the other structural support they need to be successful in that housing, because without it, when they can't pay the rent, they're out on the street again. And so you need the social services to help support them through employment security, into jobs. You need, for women, they may need daycare subsidies. There are a host of social services that we need to bring to the table. One of the best things that's come along in Thurston County in a long time is an outfit called Thurston Thrives. And they bring all these social service groups together under one umbrella, and they try to look at the whole person from birth to old age and jointly leverage their joint wealth to solve those problems. I think that's a great step in the right direction.
Thank you. Ken?
Well, as far as I can tell, there are two types of homeless. There's the ones that are brought on by alcohol and drug problems, and there's the ones that are brought on by financial problems. The alcohol and drug problems, homeless people who have those kind of problems, we need to continue to work with our social services to make sure they get the help that they need to get off of whatever drug and alcohol problems that they're on. The other one is financial, people who have lost their jobs and who have lost their homes. And those are the ones that I think that we can probably help. And by that I mean there are several different organizations around Thurston County that help homeless. One of them is Homes First. They do a good job of getting people into homes off of the street. Another one is Habitat for Humanity. I have a member of my family that has a Habitat house and has had for a number of years. And so I understand how these different organizations that we have work to help homelessness. We just need to continue to support those organizations that are working towards helping homeless.
Madeline?
So homelessness, as Carolyn mentioned, in Thurston County, or in Lacey rather, is rather an invisible issue. There's less people on the streets, more people camping in the woods or couch surfing, where they don't have a stable place to live, but at least they're under a roof some portion of the time. There are ways and ways and ways that people have tried to help homeless people. I am a big fan of the Olympia initiative, Homes First, which I believe has recently been placed on the ballot. I am hoping it passes so that next they can approach Lacey and continue to expand their services. I am also a proponent of affordable housing, and I believe that expanding transit will help people get to the services they need from Lacey, because all those services are on the west side, and the west side's pretty far away from Lacey.
Thank you very much. So now we're back to Ken for the final question.
Hope it's easier than the first one.
Ha! We'll see. You have 2 minutes, of course, and the rest of you have 1 minute. So Ken,
Yes, Mary.
what would be your City of Lacey budget priorities for the next 4 years?
Well, number one would be to do something about our traffic problem that we have in Lacey, particularly College Street, for example. If you've ever driven on College Street, everybody knows it's a horrendous problem. There's been a plan, College Street development plan, to help solve some of those traffic problems. Been out now since 2009, and the city hasn't done anything with it because they don't have the money. So one of my priorities would be to see if we can't loosen up some money somewhere to begin the process of alleviating some of those traffic problems on College Street. The other one, as the chair of the Lacey Planning Commission, as the Lacey Parks Board, is we need to continue to develop more of our parks, and I'd like to spend some more money on park development. Those are some of my top ones, but the issue of growth is significant, and Carolyn touched on it here a while back, that Lacey is going to expand. We have a lot more people. We need to make certain that our income and our staffing and our police services keep up with the growth that we're going to have in Lacey in the next 20 years. So we're going to need to do some good budgeting to make certain that not only do we have the money available to staff all those positions that we need, but we also need to come up with some kind of a plan to make certain that we can have that money in the future and not just now. So my budget priorities are I just forgot my budget priorities. But we need, yeah, thank you very much. You know,
Okay, well, let's move on.
no, I'm not done yet.
You're not
I
done
have
yet?
30 seconds
Oh,
yet.
all right.
My budget priorities are to make sure that Lacey has the money in place that it needs in order to take care of its growth in the future.
Madeline?
So I have a twofold answer to this, so I'll talk fast. First of all, we need to make sure that we have the money in place to expand services as population grows and as we add area to Lacey, as we annex the urban growth area. So we need to have the money aside to provide for those services. I have also spoken with people from North Thurston Public Schools, the police chief, the fire chief, who else? Just about everyone, it feels like. And I am currently setting up a meeting with Troy Wu, Lacey's finance director, to find out where the money is coming from. Because before I make any promises about what we're going to spend money on, I want to know where our money's coming from and where it's currently being used.
Thank you. Carolyn?
My three priorities, number one is a great big one, is the septic to sewer program that Lacey has. Septic is a huge expense. Connections cost tens of thousands of dollars. And we know that there are a number of homeowners out there for whom that is just not within reach. So I propose establishing a revolving fund that would provide low cost, I'm talking like 1% loans, to residents who meet an income threshold, and even subsidy for some of those. We've got to get serious about that. Related to sewer are other infrastructure needs. Water. I mean, Lacey we had a building moratorium for quite some time because we didn't have enough water rights. We need to work on water and road maintenance and sewer. And my third priority would be on alternative transportation, investing in bus routes with IT, particularly for the northeast part of the city, as well as bike paths and sidewalks.
Very good, very thoughtful. Thank you very much. Now each one of you has 1 minute for a closing statement. And why don't we begin with Carolyn?
Well, again, thank you for hosting us today. I have very worthy opponents here, but I am the one candidate who has direct experience with the City Planning Commission. I've been working for 3.5 years on issues that go directly to the City Council. We help inform, or we offer at least our opinion on the way we would like to see the council vote on things. I've also got experience with the Thurston County Boundary Review Board. I served on that body for 3 years. I envision a well-planned future for Lacey, one that addresses the growth that's coming our way. I mean, our path is coming up on us really fast, and if we don't plan for those people who are going to be living in our communities, it's not going to be a very fun place to live. So I think accommodating that growth is going to be our biggest challenge, and I want to be one of the decision makers that helps us make wise choices to get there and meet our future.
Thank you. Madeline?
I think that what we've heard today from myself and my opponents is that we have fairly similar views of what Lacey needs. What I bring to the table that my opponents don't is I am young and I have decades of community service to provide. I have the enthusiasm and the energy to give Lacey the attention it needs, and I have the experience and the background so that I have the know-how to get the job done. I see my youth as a good thing. It means that I am able to look forward and I can contribute to the political pipeline where we need candidates moving upward. I hope that you will vote for me and check out my website, goodwinforlacey.com, and my Facebook, facebook.com/goodwinforlacey.
Ken?
Lacey just finished celebrating his 50th birthday. And for the first time since I've lived in Lacey over 40 years, I've seen a sense of city pride, a community pride start to develop. And I'd like to continue to build on that sense of community pride that Lacey has just started to have. We have a museum in Lacey, and we're getting ready to build a new museum in Lacey to talk about the history of the city. That helps build a sense of community. My whole purpose in running is to build a sense of community in the city of Lacey. We need to have people feel good about living in Lacey, and not as somebody mentioned here that Olympia moves all the people of different races to Lacey. Lacey is a great city in which to live. I want to make sure that the people of Lacey feel like it's a good place to live, and I want to do everything in my power to make people understand how much this city can do and how much I love this city.
Thank you very much. And thank you for participating in the League of Women Voters Primary Election Forum for the Lacey City Council. We encourage voters, viewers, to vote in the primary election. It's just as important. That will be held on August 1st, 2017. The League particularly thanks the Thurston Community Media for their ongoing and ever-present support and assistance. Thank you. you.